solo retreat and would like a creative project to work on while I'm there. Ideally, I would work on it a little bit each of the 3 days. Do you have any project suggestions? Yes. So let's break this down like thing by thing. So first we'll talk about the material, then we'll talk about the projects, and then we'll talk about what you'll do each day and then the tools that you'll need. So first, the material. So the material I would suggest, just because I know this is for not necessarily a beginner, but someone who doesn't craft or make things on a regular basis. So I would suggest clay. And I know I suggested this in the last video as well, but it was for the same exact reason. It was for someone who is not a maker on a regular basis. And so I feel like clay is super forgiving and super easy and affordable. And the same exact things. I would do either an air dry clay or I would do the salt dough. I think this is just like really easy to work with. It's really affordable. It's forgiving. If you mess up, it's not a big deal. You also have options. If you did want to go like the baking route, you can get like the Sculpey polymer clay, and that's also like a fantastic option. So first thing, material, I would use clay. Second thing, project ideas. So I put together this little collage because I think you can go a lot of different ways depending on what you want and what resonates with you. So my favorites were definitely doing a wall hanging. I liked this idea specifically because you could if you were going on hikes, like I know this person's going to be like in nature and going on hikes and stuff, so you could forage for a branch and you could use that as like kind of the thing that you're hanging your clay creation from, and I thought that was really cool to kind of tie in this trip. So I like the wall hanging. I like doing a piece of jewelry also for a similar kind of reason of having this thing that you can wear and can remind you of this retreat and things you learned and goals that you may have set during that, like kind of is just like this little token that you can wear and remind yourself. I love that idea. I also love practical things or things that make you happy. So something like the air plant holder is really cute. The tea light holder is nice, especially with all the little cutouts so that you can see the light come through. I think those are all really fun, really easy, simple shapes because we want this to be a project that is fun and not overly stressful and is just like really simple, bare bones. So material, clay, project ideas are those, and then day by day. So day 1 you would create your shapes, day 2 you would paint, and day 3 you would assemble. So the only project day 3 you wouldn't really be able to assemble would be the tea light because there is no other material other than the clay. Like that is the final thing. So day 3 for that you could maybe paint. Like maybe it's if you wanted it to be a more elaborate design on there, or you just made several and you wanted to space out the painting. Whatever you want to do. But everything else, you know, requires like the wall hanging, you would be attaching rope or cording. The jewelry, you would be attaching it with jump rings, or the same with cording or rope. So that's kind of a nice little breakdown. Those are also, I like this project or any of these projects and working with this material because it allows you to keep it really simple and really short. You know, if you were creating just, you know, day 1 just cutting out the shapes, that could be a super quick project. And the same with painting and assembling. Like you can make this as simple and fast as you want, or as long and complex as you want, depending on how much time you want to allow yourself for this creative project. So those are my suggestions. I think all of these projects would be super fun to do. And let me know what you think, or if you have another idea for a project for a creative retreat. I would love to hear your feedback, what you would have said. And if you have any craft questions, you can submit them at my website, emilymakesstuff.com. Just go to the contact page. Make sure in the message you just start it by saying craft consultant. And that's all. Just kidding, I forgot tools and materials. I wanted to make sure to include this list in case anyone wants to duplicate this project, although it's so easy, I'm sure you could figure out what your list of materials is. Firstly, of course, your clay, whatever it's going to be. If you're going to do air dry, if you're going to do polymer clay, if you're going to DIY a salt dough, the materials for that, something to roll it out with. I will say, like, I've used the DOS air dry clay before, and it requires a lot of water and a lot of kneading it to get it really going. So something to roll it out with, like a wine bottle or a rolling pin, or a really sturdy like mason jar or glass or something would all be good options. But something that you can kind of help knead it would be really great. Parchment paper, if you are doing, I mean, I think also for oven bake, really any of them, you're gonna want something that it can dry on, that it's not gonna stick to. Parchment paper is an easy option. You don't need to bring the whole roll, just pull yourself some and fold it up. If you're traveling on a trip, then just, you know, fold it up so you can carry it with you. Sandpaper is optional. If you want it to be really smooth and you want to be really finicky about the finish, then more power to you, bring some sandpaper. Paints and brushes, again, like, you can make this as complex as you want it to. You could bring 1 or 2 colors. You can even bring something that is easy to travel with, like a paint pen. That way you don't have like all this fuss of brushes and cleanup. Like, it's just something that you draw with. Rope and cording, depending on your project, if you want to do the wall hanging. And then if you're doing jewelry, just make sure you're bringing any kind of tools that you need. Like, if you're doing earrings and you have jump rings, then you need pliers to open it up, or wire cutters, or any kind of stuff like that. And of course, like, a good pair of scissors for the rope and cord. But yeah, this should be it. I mean, also along the same lines of jewelry, you can do embellishments, you could do little tassels. That is where there's, you know, so many ideas that you can dream this to be a really big, lengthy project, or you can just make it short and simple and to the point. So that is all. Those are your tools and materials. Reach out again at emilymakestuff.com if you have any craft questions.